what that is.
And novena is 9 days of prayer. It comes specifically from when Jesus ascended into heaven and he told the apostles to stay and pray until he received the power from on high. So the 9 days of the original novena is the ascension to Pentecost. When in Pentecost, Mary and the apostles received the Holy Spirit in a new and fuller way. And so any time of 9 days of preparation for something important is called a novena. It comes from scripture from Ascension to Pentecost.
Thank you so much. That is so helpful and so wonderful. We have some extra, some of you who want to research. Those who are arriving now, I do have some brochures, so you can come and get these. So we're about to celebrate the birth of Our Lady of Guadalupe. That feast didn't always exist. It was established, however, long ago. It had to be approved, and for that to have to be approved, there has to be something in this event that is recognized as something that is legitimate, authentic, and historically connected to some reality. Otherwise, Mr. Una pregunta, ¿tiene una pregunta? ¿Ustedes tienen una pregunta? Algo que no quedó. No, okay. You have to understand that not everyone has always believed that there actually was an apparition. I know that you probably are looking at me thinking, it's finally happened for folks like that. I only give the talk and it's not the case today. Let me say that there have been many people from early on who did not believe in the apparition. Can anyone remember from a recent talk I gave the name of someone I spoke of who did not believe in the apparition? His name began with an S. Who is this person? And who was this person historically? And I talked about the person and I said, it's very curious. He was a Franciscan. He collected pre-Columbian documents. He was a very famous person in that world. Very important. Considered one of the greatest authorities on the teaching of Nahuatl practices, pre-Columbian practices. His name was Fray Bernardino de Sahagún. He did not believe in the apparition. In fact, he used to say, all of those people we see now, and we know that there was, and that he chapeled them, from his words. He says, all of those people there at Tepeyac are there because there was a shrine there before to Colantin, the mother goddess. That's why those people go there. And he was very weary and very suspicious of anything that could lead to idolatry. He said, no, we've done a bad job. He was even critical of the first Franciscans, the first 12 Franciscans who arrived in Mexico. The 12 Franciscans, he said, no, they haven't been shrewd enough. And they've done this conversion so quickly that many of the people will be backsliders. He was a fanatic. He said, no. And he said, those people worshiping in Tepeyac are not there because they are worshiping the Mother of God. So already, in the 16th century, there were people who doubted the apparitions. 17th century, other people who said, no, this probably didn't happen. In the meantime, thousands and thousands of people have gone to the shrine of the Virgin of Guadalupe. Thousands. I haven't gotten to millions, but that's coming later. Thousands and thousands of people. 17th century, several books are written about La Virgen de Guadalupe. One is called like Guadalupe, a very famous book by Miguel Sanchez. Other, Laszlo de la Vega, famous writer. Francisco de Florencia, another famous book about La Virgen de Guadalupe. So much so that some modern historians, especially in the United States, have said this was an invention of the criollos in the 17th century. This had to have been an invention. That's why we see the outpouring of this devotion to the Virgin in the 17th century, 1648, 1649, 1650s. What they forget is that already in 1557, Bishop Montuca, the Dominican, said, yes, this is a legitimate shrine. Yes, this is a legitimate place of worship. Yes, this whole devotion that we see, he called it Tepeyaquilla, an old name for Tepeyac, or in Nahuatl, Tepeyaca, the hill of the nose. He said, there was already, he said, this image there, the image exists. There was a church there, people go there by the thousands, and yes, it is valid. He was a Dominican and he was taking a stand against the Franciscans because a very short time before, actually the most important and more powerful Franciscan at that time in the Franciscan community in the 1550s had spoken out against devotion at Tepeyac. There was already a debate in the 1550s. In the 17th century, the debate continues, and there are people in 1666 who participate in the famous, these are called investigaciones jurídicas, where a whole series of witnesses are brought in. You've heard me talk about this before. I hope I'm not going over too much of what you've heard, but these wonderful, wonderful, wonderful stories, and we have the record of the whole event with all the eyewitness accounts who say, yes, don't forget, this is 1666. This was 130 years after traditional days of the apparition. Yes, my grandfather knew that family. My great uncle remembered. These are people sometimes 80 years old, 90 years old, speaking in 1660. My grandfather knew Juan Diego. My great uncle remembered Juan Diego. Where did Juan Diego live? Where was he from? Does anyone remember? If you don't, I'm so happy because it means I get to repeat it. He was from a town called Cuautitlán. Cuautitlán, and I know Lisa knows this story. What does the word Cuautli mean in Nahuatl? Eagle. Cuautitlán is the place of the eagle. The place of the eagle. The saint's name of Juan Diego is Cuautlatuatzin. Cuautlatuatzin, the eagle who speaks. The eagle who speaks. Cuautlatuatzin. This is an amazing story. This place called Cuautitlán, this man who was not Christian. He became Christian probably in about 1525. Becomes Christian. He accepts, he embraces the religion, the new religion that's been introduced from the 1520s in what is now Mexico, Christianity. He embraces it, he changes his name, takes a very Christian name, a very Christian name, Juan Diego. Could you believe in the Spanish-speaking world more Christian than Juan Diego? What's the significance of the name Diego? Santiago. Santiago. Juan Diego. He takes on the name Juan Diego. There, the story is, on his way, walking past the hill of the nose, the Tepeyac, he suddenly has the experience of this vision, right? The Virgin appears to him and says, why? Don't be afraid, my child. Don't be afraid. Don't you know that I'm here for you? You know the rest of the story of it going to the bishop with the flowers, and the bishop saying, no, I need more proof, I need more evidence. And he comes back and he has the tuba full of flowers. And he opens it up and the flowers fall out, and there is, oh, senor, we were on the wrong page. And there, painted on the tuba. Oh, I wish we could find a better one than that. That one is, that's a modern reproduction, which I'm always uncomfortable with anything modern that is a reproduction. I'll stop there before I get carried away. But notice on this brochure you have, that is the actual image. And if you want to see a really detailed image, a wonderful image, which is, of course, it's a photograph, which is wonderful. I say, in our beautiful chapel here, the chapel of our wonderful chapel, you will see in the back with candles the image of La Virgen de Guadalupe. Now here's the question. Okay, so we have this man, we have these Franciscans, not just one, several, saying, no, these are just people who want to continue worship, want to continue worshiping Donancing, the Mother Goddess. This isn't really a place where people worship the Mother God. No, this is not. And suddenly, there are people, slowly, a whole series of early witnesses who write about this. And one of them is a person, curiously, a guy, there's Salomon, by the way. Notice he's looking at these images because he collected what is now called the Florentine Codex, which is the most important collection of images about the pre-Columbian customs of the area, which later becomes New Spain. So we do have people who doubt, but there are other people who don't doubt. One is a man who accompanied Hernán Cortés. He was a young man, he was a soldier. Late in life, he was living in Guatemala. I've mentioned this before, and his grandkids would say, you're telling us all these stories. His children would tell him about the conquest, but why don't you write this down? And he thought about it, and said, who am I? And this foot soldier who accompanied Bernal Diaz del Castillo. But he began reading other accounts, early histories of the conquest. He was so dissatisfied, he said, I have to write something. I have to tell the true story of what happened from my perspective. And one of the things he says is, look what's happened since we won victory. Look how many churches there are. Look how many hospitals. Look how many things have been built. And look at, he says this in about 1568. And look at this church called La Virgen. Look how many thousands of people go there. Thousands. This is mid-16th century. Look how many people go there. And look how many miracles have been performed. It's Bernal Diaz. He's saying this in the mid-16th century. There are many other people. Yes.
On the chapel, what does it say about the door?
Where's the door? It says, no estoy yo aquí. Am I not here? Que soy tu madre. Am I not here? I am your mother. Right? So that's the words to one gig. Why don't be scared? Am I not here? Am I not your mother? So, okay, but there are others who begin writing, Montúfar and others who say, this tradition has been here for a long time. Look at what is going on. Thousands, thousands. Then there's a famous story of a plague that takes place. And there, along procession of people go to the church, the Ermita, the old church. And there, an early church, let's say, they pray and pray and pray that this plague come to an end, and it does. And they say, oh, surely this is an intervention. If you were to just look online, you were just type in churches called La Virgen de Guadalupe, you would find them all over the world. How many do you think you'd find? I haven't counted them. I haven't gone that far. I counted up all of St. Rosa's Lima, right? 110 in the United States. That's small potatoes compared to the Virgin Guadalupe. You can be sure that every city, every major city in North America has at least one church. Many now in the United States of the most important dioceses have named the cathedrals Our Lady of Guadalupe. It's all over the place. Los Angeles, Dallas, downtown, La Virgen de Guadalupe. You see this everywhere. But where you also see this is in Mexico. And when our Oasis group went, Angelo Lobato said, keep this in mind. Everywhere you go, you will feel the presence of La Virgen de Guadalupe. He said that to our group, and I know he was lying. I'm gonna ask you maybe to say one or two words later about your experiences there, which I think would be very positive. As you traveled to Mexico and had the wonderful experience. I heard you, Lisa, speak after Mass. It was very moving. So then more and more and more people went to the shrine. And as time has gone by, now millions of people go to the shrine. In fact, on the 12th of December in Mexico City, it's huge. The celebration is enormous. When Juan Diego was canonized, some of you may have watched it on TV, some of you, I don't know, maybe someone was there. I don't know. Before and during this whole ceremony of canonization, there were endless Native American dances. Why would there be Native American dances? Who can tell me this? Matachines. On and on and on and on and on. Why so many? Because it's a Native American event. Because the history of the Virgin Guadalupe is connected to Native peoples. Juan Diego was the first Native American saint. This is all connected. There were songs early on, part of oral tradition in Mexico, in Nahuatl, to the Virgin of Guadalupe. The Virgin of Guadalupe is not thought of in Mexico as Spanish. Virgin of Guadalupe is thought of as actually part of Mexican history, Mexican native history. Mexican native history. And so when I tell you that Juan Diego was a Native American and that he was from a place called Cuautitlan, and his own name is Cuautlahuatzin, the eagle who speaks, this shows you it's all connected to a native past in Mexico. But in Mexico, we have to remember the story of David Brading, and I've told it before, so you know the punchline, don't give it away. David Brading, British historian who wrote the book Mexican Phoenix. He's a very, very famous historian, not one who accepts the apparition, but very impressive in documentation, the whole history of the story, the account of the story of the narrative of the apparition. He said when he first got to Mexico, he was talking to a cab driver, and he said, más o menos en México, ¿Cuánta gente cree en la Virgen de Guadalupe? Translate for me. Más o menos.
More or less.
En México, ¿cuánta gente cree en la Virgen de Guadalupe? And the cab driver answered, en México, hasta los ateos creen en la Virgen de Guadalupe. Even the atheists believe in la Virgen de Guadalupe. In Mexico, you know, you're going to find some people who probably don't, but believe me, it's so deeply rooted in Mexico. It's so deeply rooted in Mexico that it's everywhere. Devotion to the Virgen de Guadalupe. There's a beautiful book written by an Anglican priest about the Virgen de Guadalupe. It's just, are you kidding? It doesn't have to be Mexican. When you learn about the story, you accept it, even if you weren't Catholic. He said it's such a beautiful story because really the story is about love, isn't it? It's maybe I'm being too simplistic, but it's about love. And if you go back to what's written, if we could, and that was a wonderful question about what's written above that door. What's written above that door? It's so beautiful. No estoy yo aquí. Am I not here? Que soy tu madre. The idea is, I am your mother. I am your mother. It's an amazing story. There are stories, of course, as you know, of apparitions in many countries. Those of you who have been to Portugal, Our Lady of Fatima, in France, Our Lady of Lourdes, and so on. But the Virgin of Guadalupe has a tremendous impact in many countries. Here's an example of one. Maybe this isn't something I've ever really talked about, but I think we may at some point talk about this. In the same time as New Spain is under Spanish rule, New Spain is connected to the Philippines because the Philippines are also under Spanish rule. So the Philippines, although a long way, right, from New Spain, are, in the time of the government of New Spain, also under Spanish rule. And an image of the Virgin of Guadalupe is taken to the Philippines, and it grows. Devotion to the Virgin of Guadalupe grows so fast in the Philippines that now in the Philippines, many, 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 many places where you will see churches of La Virgen de Guadalupe. I bet you if we started naming U.S. cities, there wouldn't be a city of any size that doesn't have something named for the Virgen de Guadalupe. I'll tell you an experience I had once, many years ago. This is the kind of experience I love to tell. I'm in an old Polish neighborhood in Chicago, and I'm walking around, looking around. And in an old Polish neighborhood in Chicago, you're going to find some Catholic churches. I mean, it's inevitable. There are going to be some churches, and I love to see churches, so I'm stopping, looking in this one, and looking that one, and one of them, you can see there's an old name. It's Our Lady of Krakow. But the name has been changed because the neighborhood changed. The neighborhood is no longer Polish. The neighborhood is now Mexican. And the new church is called La Virgen de Guadalupe. La Virgen de Guadalupe, right there in Chicago. And it's not just Chicago, it's all over the place. You see this. There's a book of images of just the buildings in LA, Los Angeles, that have somehow the image of Our Lady of Guadalupe. And it's incredible. A friend of mine showed me the book because his friend was the photographer and the one who put together the book. And there are tire stores named La Virgen de Guadalupe. There are fast food places, Taqueria Guadalupe. There are all these places named La Virgen de Guadalupe. Why? That's the question. Why are there so many? Why? I want somebody to tell me. Think about this. Why so many? Because few things are more a part of Mexican than the Virgen de Guadalupe. Few things are more notable in Mexico. La Virgen de Guadalupe. This is really important in Mexico, but not just Mexico, many countries. The Spanish-speaking world, La Virgen de Guadalupe. Here's a procession. Here's a procession at this church called La Iglesia de San Jose, this church right here. If you go to the Mass the evening of the 12th of December, you better get there early. You better get there early because it's going to be packed. And what are you going to see going down the main aisle the 12th of December? Who's been to Mass the 12th?
We're there right now. See, I just came from there. Mass church is packed.
It's, yes.
The matachines are dancing
You're
right
going
now.
to see the Matachinas dancing, the native dancers preparing for the feast day of La Virgen de Guadalupe, the Matachines. Here in Romando. Here in Romando, far away from, you think, far away from the Spanish-speaking world. It's not far at all. It's not far at all. It's so much a part of this world. Now, I'm going to keep talking. I don't want to just let you off the hook, even though I'm sure there's some more food back there. But I'd like for a couple of people who went on the trip, who went to Saltillo and went later to Mexico City, if you would, just say a couple of words about your experiences there in Mexico. Connected to La Virgen de Guadalupe. We'll start with Casey. You're supposed to say, I'm Casey.
I'm Casey, and I went, and I went on the mission trip this summer. I was very fortunate to be able to go. The thing that struck me the most about going to Mexico City and going to Our Lady of Guadalupe, not being Catholic, I didn't really have a whole lot of history about Our Lady of Guadalupe. And I did learn a lot about it, but I was struck with all of the people there and how much you could tell it meant to them. I mean, it was like a parade with, and I don't know if it was different communities.
Like a procession.
Yeah. But
Yes.
it was like 50 and 100 people, like all dressed the same. And these are people that just show up. It's not something that is organized. You know, people from these communities just show up, and then they are proceeding, along this route in front of Our Lady of Guadalupe, and then they go all the way up to the tibia. And I don't know how many steps there are. Rodrigo knows. ¿Cuántos pasos hay para subir tibia?
Oh, good word.
Way to go, Casey.
I think more than
No,
200. More than 200, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
and up at the top, I mean, and it's steep, and I mean, like, you're getting your heart rate up when you're walking up. And when you get to the top, there's no elevators or anything. When you get to the top, you see people up there that that they desperately wanted to see where Juan Diego was buried, because they are people that look like they couldn't have made 5 steps, much less all those steps up. So, I mean, it was beautiful to see all of those people and you could tell how much it meant to him. I mean, that's what struck me.
Rodrigo produce mucha información sobre la Basílica y Nuestra Señora, porque en julio Rodrigo visitaba la Basílica 50 tiempos.
50 veces.
Veces.
50 times.
50 times in the year. So the vision to me, and especially with my mom, I was with my mom, and going up Tepeyac, we had several of our group members that helped my mom all the way up, like Casey said, it's very difficult to climb. And I thought, my mom's gonna sit at the bottom of Tepeyac, and I could tell her about it, but she made it to the top, and so did Leslie. It was a big challenge, but just knowing the history prior to going was so important, because knowing the chances of everything that led up to that vision of Juan Diego, that he really tried to not see Mary every time he came down. He wanted to avoid her because he didn't want to hear any more messages. He didn't think that the bishop would build a chapel. He really, for his story to be so impactful and for every detail of what happened, especially about the Castilian roses, it had to be Castilian.
Yes.
Castilian roses for the bishop to believe that it was real. Castilian roses would not have grown there. It was December. They wouldn't have grown there anyway. So the Castilian roses was a detail that really was so impactful to the story, because all of it is unbelievable until you really know the power of what Mary did and the vision of what she had to do, and for as a humble, poor, would he have been
He would have been a humble poor Indian.
poor Indian to get that message and to change the world. There were more conversions ever after Our Lady, and it can't be just a coincidence. So the history there is what is so powerful, and if you really, really believe the story, it has such a huge impact, and what it did to the people to this day. I mean, from 1531 to now, I mean, I would say that the majority of the people that want to attach her name to it is because everybody knows her. And I don't know if it gives them credibility or something, but it really pulled our whole trip together and it makes us understand our brothers and sisters better. It was just really a beautiful experience, and to see the actual image, it's pretty remarkable, and to know what has, that it was bombed one time, and when you see the candelabra in the basilica, it shows the candle melted and the bomb went off right on the altar, and that the image wasn't impacted. I mean, there's a slight burn spot right at the top right. Isn't there? But for it to not be this, it's really a cool story. If you ever get an opportunity, it's very much worth knowing.
And before we went, before we went, Rachel Mitchell was very kind to me to us during the summer break. And so before we went, she was very kind and let me bring some books. And I had books from that were made like the little ones, should be about what Our Lady of Guadalupe. And the part that really touches my heart is he was in England. And the reason why he knew that it wasn't like one of their Indian gods was because instead of just looking up like, having that high fear about himself, she looked to, which is the same thing, what's on the door or more impressive when you know that's what she was able to reach and let him know. And for the bishops not to, he had to go like 3 different times, like all the day long. And each time, like he was saying, he would try not to because he knew he had to go back, but he kept at it and left the press over the summer before I had a bad injury. And so I was in a wheelchair for that summer, for the portion that summer. So when we did go last summer, I wasn't sure, because there's still some days when it hurts me to walk a wobbly, but maybe I was in a wheelchair. But I wasn't sure if I was going to actually be the all the spirits, like they used to say. And after he's a Christian, and he's amazing, and he stayed with me, and he would tell me when to break, because I still have to think of 17 and that very happy person believer, but I'm not anymore. And so he would tell me that I need to stop, that I pause so often, because without him, there's no way we made it up there. And when I did make it up there, it's like that feeling that Rocky has, that feeling of weird. Yeah, it was just amazing. And then when you go in, it's just, there's no speaking, just the feeling of the love is just amazing. There's no dismissing it, no matter what background you come from. I am still, even without it, it just makes you
I think for me, one of the most touching things is there's the image, see if you can find this, and there is like what's a conveyor belt right in front when you go into the church, and there are these people walking by all day. They're on these conveyor belts, and they stand like this, and they can see the image, right? It's back behind, see? Well, I was there, and I was listening to the stories. I'm here to ask you to save my daughter from drugs. Crying, I'm here to ask you to help my husband who's been in prison for 10 years. I'm here to ask you to help me because I'm dying of cancer right now. I'm here to ask you to intercede for me, for my 2 sons who are in prison. I'm here to ask you to help me because my husband has just died and I'm all alone and I have nothing. All day long. It's amazing. And when you stand there and hear and see the faith of the people, it's so moving. It's so moving, and you say to yourself, who am I, this little speck with no problems, who's just here as a tourist? It's amazing. But if you're there because you belong to pray and admire and show devotion to my beautiful, you're in the right place. Muchas gracias. Pardon?
What touched me when I grew up in north Minnesota and with no Hispanic blood in it, the time there wasn't that many Hispanic communities around, and yet when I experienced the Feast of Guadalupe when I was in nursing school in San Francisco, it just touched me immensely. And but when somebody first explained the actual image to me, what touched me most was that the natives looked at it and saw that she was before the sun and over the moon, which were the gods they worshipped. And so they realized this is somebody special, but the important thing was her like demeanor. Her hands are folded and she's looking down. And so it doesn't mean worship her, but worship the one she's carrying, because Our Lady of Guadalupe is pregnant. The sash here shows she's a pregnant Aztec woman, correct?
Yes, yes.
And so the beautiful thing for me is it's about her, but it's not. It's about her leading us to Jesus. And that simple, prayerful sort of interior life of a woman who's carrying the Savior of the world. And there were more conversions after that because it was like a pictorial catechesis of the incarnation. And I just felt, to me, that was extraordinary. And I started taking my feast day on the Feast Lady of Guadalupe without ever thinking of being a Spanish class, you know, but it just, plus it's a great party. It's a great feast day. And they reenacted with Juan Diego coming up to the Bishop of San Francisco and laying his till in the fall and the roses would come out. And it was at 5 a.m, all these families were out with mariachi bands. And it was just a great time. But the beauty of it to me was that the image itself had meaning far beyond words. It was to draw us into Mary's love of her son Jesus. And I just feel like that's a gift to us all.
That's absolutely. Any other questions or comments? Well, there's probably a little food left in your classes are starting right now. Doctora,
We have some brochure for the people that doesn't have one, and then you have the calendar for the next semester. We hope to see you again in the next semester.
Thank you.
January 22nd. Who was the calendar?
Oh, that was.
You met Maria.
Anybody else need a calendar?
That's fine with me. I don't care whatever the child wants to know. Not yet. Okay.
In the little
Libby, where are you going to Mexico City? Never. Puebla. O Pueblo Colorado.
Yeah, I don't. You're fine. Give me your price.
Santiago de Atitlán. Would you like to go to Santiago de Atitlán? For standing room. Did you know that? No, I haven't. You can read it.
Maybe I can put some of those morning time in there.
Like what?
Just some-
Okay, thank you, sir.